Oh my god, so many noobs. Why do they even play this game? What satisfaction can they get from being crushed by awesome players such as myself? Let's go back in time. Back. For my time with Unreal Tournament is a long and nostalgic one. I played it for countless hours and yet managed to remain a complete noob. My first memories of the game were when I went to a friend's house. His brother was a pro at the game. You could hear the bassy rumbles of the translocator through the walls as he engaged in brutal deathmatches on his 56 kilobit connection. He took a break from the online massacre to single-handedly destroy both myself and my friend, crushing us over 100-0 on Corette and about 102 on Face. He'd translocate about, side jumping and shooting down Redeemer rockets as if it was a walk in the park. I still haven't mastered that myself. But then again, I only had a PlayStation and an Atari at the time. It wasn't really a fair fight. After the carnage was over and my body had been amply teabagged, I visited him in his darkened study. He was on Lava Giant, where he was showing some mysterious online person how to get the translocator up onto the middle cliff. What black magic was this? He beckoned me towards the screen. He must have seen me as a console fanboy since he tried to convince me of the PC superiority. He stared at the ground. "Look at how you can't see individual pixels," he said. And sure enough, I couldn't. I could only see a blurry 16-bit mess instead. And I loved it. This was the future. There was no going back. I had to get this game. It took me years to convince my parents that a computer would help with my education, but convincing them that a violent video game wouldn't turn me into some kind of serial killer? Madness. They were wary. Think Daily Mail and you're about there. They had banned me from The Simpsons because it was too violent. What chance did I stand with Unreal Tournament? I pleaded and I begged. I genuinely wanted it out of sheer fascination for all things digital, not because I wanted to train for a school shooting or hump dead bodies. I told them about the wonderful sci-fi worlds you could visit, like those deep dark jungles with sounds of alien creatures or the tallest skyscrapers ever built. I even mentioned a floating asteroid map, which they thought sounded silly. But eventually, after enough attrition, they let me get the game. I sat there as we went about the shops all day, staring at the game case. I was dying to get back and play the game, yet here I was in the 4th clothing shop with just a flimsy disc case and a 1-page installation guide to read. But finally, I got back and loaded up the game. I still remember that first night. I loaded up an offline practice session and sat and watched as AI opponents fought it out on a massive spaceship. They were shooting at each other, and not me. I had friends. After endless, lonely campaigns on PlayStation games, this was a major breakthrough and there was no going back. I customised the names of all the players. I gave them stats and made sure that my friend's brother, the one with the higher stats, would follow me like a personal bodyguard. I'd named the enemies after bullies at school. Sure, they could hit and punch me in real life and I had no chance of retaliating without getting told off for it. But who's laughing now as I steal their flag and headshot them from my sniper's nest on Phase 2? This is when my parents began to get concerned. They didn't like the idea of me personifying digital people. I reduced the gore, audio taunts, and returned my teammates to the generic, renamed characters. I think that, in all my time on Unreal Tournament, I tried online combat once, got completely wrecked, and accepted that it wasn't for me. I happily played against bots for months. I then realised that my version of Unreal Tournament had a second disc. What could possibly be on that? More maps and mods! The Chaos UT expansion let me grapple hook around. I could be like Spider-Man, swooping over face and saving my teammates against baddies. I could lay jumping mines all over the place, who would hop after anybody who came close. I was in my element. I was blissfully happy playing the game for what it was. I played the game because it was fun. I loved setting up matches and seeing how they play out. I didn't care about getting better or defeating real people. It didn't interest me. When we finally got 56 kilobit internet, I discovered the modding community. An ancient website, named File Leech, had more maps and mods to download than I knew what to do with. I genuinely remember thinking that I could download things forever, so that when I'm as old as my parents I could still be testing out new mods and features for my beloved Unreal Tournament. I remember seeing one person's map criticised in the comments, so I signed up with some cringy username and defended him. I was so innocent back then. My dad got worried when he saw me browsing one site which had a customised page counter that read victim counter. He gave me the talk on how dangerous the internet is because some people might want to put a virus on my PC. I was careful from then on, but it didn't stop me from downloading the mods. The things I'd do in Unreal Tournament. I would pause time and coat the map with thousands of globs of shiny goo, before unpausing it and seeing a massive explosion. After Lord of the Rings came out, I used the sword mod to try and recreate the battles. I explored the Matrix-inspired street maps that littered the game. I learned what made a good map and what made a bad one. That feeling of disappointment I got from spending an hour downloading a 7MB map only for it not to have bot support. But some of these were still worth playing, even if the bots remained in their spawn areas, like the air raid ones with moving, flying cars that you could take to the enemy bases. Looking back at these maps, they're basic and buggy, but back then, they were places. They would trigger something in my brain and I'd suddenly find myself in a dream world, imagining what it would be like to play it with friends, or with thousands of bots at once I got a faster PC that could run it smoothly. After failing with the editor myself, I had the utmost respect for mappers. They had mastered something clearly way beyond my comprehension. I'd play and dream about these worlds. While the family was watching the first Harry Potter movie on VHS, I was in the back room playing Tactical Ops, the UT version of Counter-Strike. When I first loaded up Unreal, it felt strangely familiar because I had already experienced the weapons and enemies in an Unreal Tournament mod. There was even a thievery mod that recreated places from the Thief games. It was super creepy. I even got it working over the LAN with my sister. I have since improved at the game. I no longer have time for those endless mods and custom maps since I'm too busy showing everybody that I'm better than them. I now look at bloated games full of conflicting mods with disgust. But when I'm scrolling down the endless player mods and maps on the Steam Workshop, wondering who has the time to try them all out, I remember my younger self. I didn't need to be good at the game to enjoy it. I'm sure we all have our own stories to tell about our introduction to the internet and modding scene. Perhaps you played The Sims, complete with so many expansions that the loading screens could be measured in hours. Or maybe you customised Morrowind for more quests and companions to bring life to an otherwise very static world. Or perhaps you're from a newer generation, spoilt by the luxuries of the Steam Workshop and countless free games vying for your time. But Unreal Tournament was my story. So there.